Dumb podcast, where we focus on how current events affect the GDPs of countries around the world. My name is Adi Kumar, and I'm once again joined by
Matt Sherfain
and Matt Tyberski.
In today's episode, we will be focusing on a prevailing matter regarding Russia and Europe's energy industry.
More specifically, how the Russian-Ukrainian war is affecting the European electric grid and the economies of European countries.
First, let's look into Russia's influence in the European energy industry. Russia, through its mammoth state-owned nuclear power company Rosatom, dominates the global nuclear supply chain. It was Europe's third-largest supplier of uranium in 2021, accounting for 20% of the total.
For countries with Russian-made reactors, reliance on Russian companies such as Rosatom runs deep. In 5 European Union countries, those being Slovakia, Hungary, Finland, Bulgaria, and the Czech Republic, 18 total reactors were built by Russia. In addition, 2 more are scheduled to start operating soon in Slovakia, and 2 are still under construction in Hungary, thus cementing partnerships with Russian energy far into the future.
With the onset of the war, Europe moved with startling speed to wean itself off Russian oil and natural gas. However, breaking the long-standing dependency on Russia's vast nuclear industry is a much more complicated undertaking.
Despite urgings from the Ukrainian government, there has been limited support for sanctions against Russian companies because of how critical a role Russia plays in the continent's energy supply.
Furthermore, there are few ready alternatives to replace Russian energy companies whose roots are embedded deep within Europe. As such, most European countries have no choice but to remain reliant on Russian energy for the time being.
However, remaining reliant on Russia for energy is risky. For instance, Europe heavily relies on Russia for its natural gas supply, with Russia providing around 1/3 of the European Union's natural gas. This dependency on Russian natural gas makes Europe vulnerable to supply distributions, as we saw in the past during the 2009 gas crisis, when Russia cut off gas supplies to Europe over a dispute with Ukraine.
Currently, we are once again seeing a major dispute between Russia and Ukraine in the form of war, so there's no telling when Russia might decide to cut off the energy supply to Europe and throw the whole continent into chaos. It's also important to note that this issue goes far beyond Europe. The American nuclear power industry gets up to 20% of its enriched uranium from Russia, meaning this crisis affects the American economy as well.
At this point, you might be thinking, hey guys who run Gregg's Dumb podcast, I'm totally in love with you because you guys are super smart and handsome. In response to that, we'd say, you blithering bilge rat, this is no time for flirting. We have to talk about how this relates to the future of the economy.
That's right, we have to focus on the economy. But it's true, we are some good-looking individuals. Anyways, it's safe to say that not only does the Ukraine-Russia war not bode well for the energy sector, but it doesn't bode well for the economy either.
The war in Ukraine has led to economic sanctions being imposed on Russia by the United States and the European Union. These sanctions target Russia's energy, financial, and defense sectors, and have resulted in a significant reduction in trade between Europe and Russia. As a result, several European countries have seen a decline in their exports to Russia, affecting their GDP growth.
Let's take Germany as an example. Germany has the largest economy in the European Union and has strong economic ties with Russia. In 2013, Germany exported goods worth over 38 billion euros to Russia. However, after the imposition of economic sanctions, German exports to Russia dropped by 34% in 2015, resulting in a significant loss of revenue for German businesses, which seems to be persisting today.
Other European countries, such as Finland, the Czech Republic, and Poland, have also seen a decline in their exports to Russia. These countries have strong trade relations with Russia, particularly in the energy and agricultural sectors. For example, Finland is heavily dependent on Russia for its wood exports, while the Czech Republic relies on Russia for its oil imports.
Obviously, the war in Ukraine has also had a negative impact on the tourism industry in Europe. Many Russians used to visit European countries for vacations, and the conflict has resulted in a decline in tourism from Russia to Europe. This has affected several European countries such as Spain, Italy, and Greece, which heavily rely on tourism revenue for their GDP growth.
Furthermore, the war in Ukraine has led to an increase in military spending by European countries. This increase in military spending has led to a decrease in public spending on other areas, such as education and healthcare, which could have a long-term impact on the economy.
In response to this crisis, most people have been left baffled upon learning how big of a role Russia plays in energy. Paul Dabor, a visiting citizen at the Center on Global Energy Policy at Columbia University, stated that Russia's control on the world's energy was equal to all of the OPEC put together in terms of market share and power.
Citizens also feel confused and scared when they think about how the economy might play out in the future because currently it's simply not looking good. And we all know what happened the last few times citizens felt confused and scared about the economy. Stock market crash of 1929, 2008 recession. Sorry, I've been sick lately.
Hope you feel better, Big T. Anyways, although there are very few alternatives to replace Russian energy companies, many European countries have started to take advantage of those alternatives that do exist. In response to this, there has been a growing number of energy companies eager to take advantage of the European energy crisis, and pre-existing companies have started to expand their operations.
The Pennsylvania-based Westinghouse Electric Company and the French company Framatome are currently the largest names in companies that could potentially replace Russian energy. The Czech Republic's energy company CEZ has already signed contracts with both companies to supply fuel assemblies for its plant in Temelin, a municipality in the Czech Republic.
Finland canceled a troubled project with Rosatom to build a nuclear reactor and hired Westinghouse to design, license, and supply a new fuel type for its plant in the city of Loviisa after its current contracts expire.
Bulgaria signed a new 10-year agreement with Westinghouse to provide fuel for its existing reactors. And last week, it moved ahead with plans for the American company to build new nuclear reactor units. Poland is about to construct its first nuclear power plant, which will feature 3 Westinghouse reactors.
Mr. Choho at Westinghouse was confident about the company's ability to compete with Rosatom in Europe, estimating that it could eventually capture 50 to 75% of that nuclear market. Westinghouse has also signed an agreement with the Spanish energy company Anusa to cooperate on fabricating fuel for Russian-made reactors.
Still, a worldwide turn away from Russia's nuclear industry would be a slog. The nuclear supply chain is exceptionally complex. Establishing a new one would be expensive and take years. Ultimately, only time will tell how the world's economy will proceed.
Thank you for joining us in this episode. We hope you learned something valuable enough to talk about at the dinner table tonight, and we hope you join us for next week's episode.